So here's a question. Can a relationship actually start over from scratch? Like, not just patch up the cracks, kind of put a rug over the mess and pretend it's clean, but actually wipe the slate clean and rebuild something new and have it feel different? The short answer is yes, but it is rare and it's pretty damn hard. The thing is, most guys don't realize is how much baggage they're still carrying into every interaction, and not just their own. Her baggage too. Old fights, disappointments, patterns, roles that you both played, the tone of your voice when you got defensive, the way that she shut down when she felt unheard. All that stuff, it kind of lingers in the walls. You're both haunted by the version of each other that broke it. And that's the default setting until it's reset. And resetting doesn't happen by accident. See, I think what makes a fresh start possible, it's not time, it's not apologies either. It's a psychological clean break, a deliberate and a mutual shift from what was to what could be. It's when both people, not just one, are willing to challenge the story that they've been telling themselves about the relationship, what it is, and who the other person is inside of it. So for her to even entertain the idea of a second chance, she needs to believe that she's stepping back into, or she's not stepping back into the same old story. And that's the whole key. She's going to say yes again. She needs to feel like it's not a reboot of what was broken, all right, but a chapter of something that's totally different. Something where she's not going to slowly lose herself again. Something where, your partner's needs are actually met without her begging. It's something where it's safe to hope again. And this is where I think a lot of guys stuff it up. They want the old relationship back with some minor tweaks. Like they're just applying a bit of a patch update. Like, I'll stop snapping at her, or I'll make more effort. I'll learn how to communicate better. But I think the entire system needs to change. Starting over means that redefining who you are inside the relationship, not just what you do. It's got to be a fundamental shift in the emotional contract. And that starts with understanding why the relationship broke in the first place. You see, usually breakups aren't about one bad fight. They're not about that one mistake. They're about this slow erosion of that emotional safety. It's one unmet need at a time, one unresolved issue, at a time, one moment of her feeling unseen or unheard or uncared for, and multiplied by like weeks, months, sometimes even years. So if you are going to start over, if that's what you want, the first thing you need to accept is this: you don't get to write the script alone. Right? You don't just get to come back and say, well, I've changed, I'm better, so let's try again. You need to be willing to understand, your partner's experience of the relationship, and then co-create something brand new, not in theory but in practice, right? In behavior, in your energy, in how she feels when she's around you. And here's a truth that's a little bit uncomfortable. I think that starting over, it might require letting the old relationship fully die. That means you don't pick up from where you left off. You don't slide back into the same, arguments or the same jokes, the same patterns, the same bedroom habits, the same Monday night routine. You have to approach her if approach your partner if she's a completely, totally new person, because she kind of has to be. The version of her that was in love with you, that stayed, that tried, and that forgave, that version burned out. So what's left is someone who's going to be more cautious, and they're going to be more protective, maybe more distant. So guess what? You probably need to be a new person too, not just on the surface, not just by performing growth, but actually integrating it, walking it, living it in the way you listen, the way that you don't defend yourself when she brings up something from the past, in the way that she accepts that she's still hurt and doesn't owe you anything, right? In the way that you let go of controlling the outcome. Because if you're honest, you probably weren't fully present in the old relationship. You thought you were, but you probably weren't in it with her, not emotionally anyway. You were managing it. Most guys just try to fix problems or avoid conflict, keeping the peace, performing love maybe, but not really meeting her at a deep, real, messy level where love actually lives. So if you do want to have a fresh start, you have to become someone who can do that, someone who doesn't need to be the good guy, someone who doesn't need to be right, and someone who can sit in discomfort without playing the blame game or trying to fix or running when things get hard and heavy. And here's where it gets even harder. Starting over doesn't mean she's ready now or that she ever will be. In fact, she might not even believe change is possible. Your partner might not want to, risk going through potential heartbreak again. She might be with someone else or want to move on with someone else. And that doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. It just means she hasn't seen enough over time to believe that there could be something real there. Your partner needs to feel the change without pressure, without being sold on it. You're not trying to pitch, right? So you're not trying to audition for a second shot. If you're walking around trying to prove to her how much you've changed, you're missing the change isn't a pitch, it's a pattern. It's not in your words, it's in how she feels when you're around her, and especially when you're not. And that's why this whole starting over thing can take so long, because the foundation you're laying now, it isn't for her, it's for you. It's about becoming the kind of man that could build something new, not with pressure, not with charm, not with old memories or promises, but with presence, with emotional safety, and with some accountability and responsibility, but also with patience. A new relationship with the same person only works when you stop trying to revive what was and start building on what could be. And that starts with this question. If I met her today for the first time and I was truly the man that I'm becoming now, how would I treat her differently? Answer that, live that, not for her, but for you. And then let's see what happens. Because let's get something straight. If you're going to rebuild a relationship from scratch, you can't just bring new flowers into the same old vase and pretend that the water's not stagnant, right? Because here's where most guys miss. You're not just starting over with her, you're starting over with yourself. So if you ever reset a phone because it was acting buggy, like the apps are crashing or the battery is draining and the settings are messed up, so you factory reset it and it feels fresh for a day, right? But then you reinstall all the same old junk, the same settings, the same dodgy apps, and guess what? Same problems come back. And that's what most guys do in relationships. They reset the relationship, but they reinstall all the old behaviors, the beliefs, the emotional blind spots, and then they wonder why nothing changes and doesn't work. So if you want a true fresh start, the kind that she can feel and believe in, you can't rebuild the same the same emotional operating system. You need a new code. And let's talk about her perspective too for a minute, because for her to truly open the door again, she needs to do something far more uncomfortable than just miss you. She has to challenge her beliefs about you. And that doesn't happen because you beg. It doesn't happen because you listed out all your improvements like the upgraded iPhone on a spec sheet. And it doesn't happen because you pressure her into recognizing how far you've come. It happens when she experiences you in a different way over time without the old emotional cost. It's when she sees you show up calmly in places where you used to be reactive, when she feels safe bringing things up because you're not being defensive anymore. And that woman will realize that you're no longer expecting a gold star for behaving like an adult. And that's when her brain goes, well, hang on, this actually feels different, but just don't expect her to say it. Women rarely verbalize that moment of shift. Instead, they slowly start to respond differently. They engage a bit longer. They show a flicker of curiosity, and they'll test the waters, sometimes subconsciously, just to make sure this isn't another performance. And that's your moment not to ruin it. Don't overreach. Don't burn yourself. It's not a sprint. Don't treat her interest like it's proof that the door is wide open. Now, you might do everything right and still not get her back. Why? Well, because reconciliation, it's not a reward for effort. It's not a prize that you get for good behavior. It's a choice that your partner is going to make on her terms and in her time. And that's where a lot of guys will kind of lose their footing, is they do the work with one eye, just always watching for reaction, looking for signs. They're hoping, they're calculating, they're measuring. And without realizing that very posture, that emotional tightness, I suppose, it tells her, well, this is still about me trying to get something from you. But true change, it doesn't chase. True change radiates. It affects everyone in the room, not because it demands to be seen, but because it can't be ignored. So let me ask you something. Have you ever had someone break your trust and then try to prove how trustworthy they are again? Well, what did that feel like? Well, chances are it didn't land well, because trust isn't built through argument. It's built through observation. It's not, look at me. It's, you know what, you'll see it when you're ready. And that leads to one of the most powerful mindset shifts that you can make. Right? She needs to feel like it's safe to come back to you, not that she's being lured back in. Let's go one step further. So I want you to think of a time in your life when you let someone back in after they hurt you. Maybe it was a mate who lied, a sibling who let you down, or a partner who betrayed your trust. So how long did it take? What made you ready? Was it them talking non-stop about how much they changed, or was it something more subtle, like time passing, or your own healing, or them behaving differently without rubbing it in your face? A good moment that reminded you maybe of why you liked them to begin with. Whatever the trigger was, it was your decision. You let them back in when it felt right, not when they tried to talk you into it. And that's exactly what has to happen here. Your partner, she has to choose it. She has to want to come towards you on her own terms. And the only way that can happen is if being around you now feels better than it used to. Not just improved, but genuinely different, safer, lighter, more grounded, less pressured. And if you want a reminder of what not to do, here's one. Don't become the parole officer version of yourself. The guys that get caught messaging, other women and then download, the tracking apps, sharing their locations 24/7, updating every moment just to prove that they can be trusted. Yeah, nobody wants that. That's not rebuilding. That's living under surveillance. So real trust comes when both people feel free and then they still choose each other. So if you want a second chance, well, great, but don't try to resurrect a corpse. Don't try to convince her that you've changed, and don't perform growth with one hand while crossing your fingers behind your back. Just become the version of you who would build something different with anyone, not just her. Become the kind of man that your partner could genuinely fall for now, not the version that she left. And just let her see slowly, without an agenda. That's how a relationship can truly start over from scratch, not through persuasion or pressure, but through presence. Just one moment or one day at a time. And look, if she never comes back, well, you'll still be standing because you didn't change for her approval anyway. You changed because it was time, and now you're ready for something real, with her or without.